Okay, so here we have an experiment where they're looking at what controls forward flexion. So from the erect position to this forward bent position we see here. You can see they have electrodes um, on both sides of this spinal processes in the lumbar area, and then they have a goniometer here in the middle which measures how much flexed or extended they are. And so what they're having the people do is go through this motion where they bend forward and then bend backward. And I just want to, let's do a little biomechanical analysis of this before we start talking about the muscle activity. So if we picture a L5 joint center here, so in the intervertebral disc here, with the erector spinae muscles kind of stretching over the back, and so they have a moment arm that controls the forward flexion, and then we have the external moment centered here. We can imagine a moment arm directed vertically downward, okay, and then here's our force directed vertically downward, then the moment arm horizontal back to the disc at L5. This is your external moment that's causing the body to flex or the trunk to forward bend, and it's being, you would think it might be controlled by the erector spinae muscles acting posterior to the center of rotation of L5 back here. So we can also notice that the moment is the highest, or the external load is the highest when they're the most forward bent. Because so here we look here, the moment arm's gotten quite long. If they were about half as bent, then it would be less long. So let's look at what happens to the muscle activity in the erector spinae as the person bends forward. So here's our three graphs. These are the left and right EMG electrodes up here at L3. So these electrodes here, okay, and then I believe this is the right side and the left side. And here's the goniometry readings down here, and we can see here the person is flexing. They're kind of stabilized and flexing for a minute. They extend. They immediately flex again. They hang out in flexion for a minute. They extend, flex, hang out, and extend. So let's match the EMG recordings with this kinematic signal. And what do we notice? We notice that, and we won't focus on the first one, we'll focus on these middle, the two to the right. When they're stabilized in flexion, there's no muscle activity. So there's some initial muscle activity as they rise, so as they come back to fully erect, and just as they initiate flexion, but right about here, which is before they reach full flexion, the muscles turn off. And so what we can note from this is that when a person is in full flexion or approaching full flexion, there's no muscle activity. And so therefore the control of the final element of forward bending is passive relative to the lumbar spine. And so we'll kind of come back to this in a minute. Here we have a person who has low back pain in this picture. First of all, we can notice that their forward bending is less range of motion, so this is the goniometer again. They have much less range of motion. And then we also notice here that they have a lot of muscle activity when they typically would be relaxed. And so their control of their motion is significantly impaired.